Tip number 246 from the book 501 Contractor Tips. Keep your personal problems to yourself. Now, this would probably go along with even if you get the job. A lot of people don't want to hear about your problems. They might want to share their problems with you and looking for a intent ear, someone who's really want to listen to them. But most of the time they don't want to hear yours. And if you do share a little bit of information with them, maybe don't go into detail. And another thing you might want to think about is if you are scheduled for an appointment, you schedule for an appointment on, say, Monday at 5 o'clock in the evening, and at 3 o'clock you had a major catastrophe happen in your personal life, you might want to reschedule the appointment and simply explain to the people, hey, I've got a personal problem I got to take care of, and go from there. And you are going to find people too that they don't really care about your personal. They rescheduled something so that they could make that appointment. You call them at the last minute, you're not going to get the job, or they're just going to say, hey, good luck, off to the next contractor, or you're going to get an earful from them. Either way, be prepared for not just to suggest to somebody, can we reschedule, and then have everything be hunky-dory. I always try to make my appointments no matter what. If I was feeling bad, having some tough times, or exhausted, rarely did I cancel an appointment. And if I did cancel the appointment, probably had something to do with the fact that I didn't want to do the job anyway, something along those lines. Now, personal problems. I can't tell you how many personal problems I've heard from my clients. So just to paint you a picture here, I would go work on someone's house and do a room addition, and by the end of the room addition, I knew everything about their family, their dog, their cousins, everything, just who I am. I love talking to people and often got carried away with it. Now, I think that there were a few times where this left an uncomfortable feeling with these people because they shared some things with me that they probably shouldn't have. This is another avenue you're probably not going to want to go down. And I'm not talking about someone, sharing something really personal. But you might have been talking to someone and you're telling them some story about when you were a kid, and your dog ran in front of a car. And then that reminds them of a story of the one time they had a dog that died, and this triggers some emotions that they really never dealt with all the way. And you kind of see a look on their face like, what the heck did I say? I didn't want to, they could even start crying. And then, of course, this little bit, I'm just saying a little bit of personal or emotional outburst could create an uncomfortable feeling, and they don't ever want to see you again. They just want to get the job done. I've had things like that happen, and I've actually had them happen in non-work related environments. I can remember probably about, I want to say 6 months to a year ago, there was a woman who was over at our house, and she started crying. She was sad about something, and she hasn't been over the house since. And it's not hard to figure out why. I think she was embarrassed about her problem that she shared with us. And it's not like we were like, oh my God. But these little personal things like this, these are the things you really got to pay attention to in your personal life and in your professional life. In your personal life, you might, hey, this person's not coming over to the house anymore, big deal, not a biggie. In your professional life, this is going to affect the bottom line. This is going to affect how much money you make. So sometimes it's going to be better to not share your personal problems with someone, and then not try to avoid getting them to talk about problems that they might really not want to talk about, or problems that could cause them with some type of issue, embarrassing them in some way, and they don't want to do business with you. And then, of course, they don't want to recommend you to other people because they realize that you were talking to them. You could probably talk to somebody else, and they don't want no part of it. So I hope that makes sense. This isn't rocket science here. but a lot of personal, a lot of business is psychology, human behavior, understanding human behavior. And if you start wrapping your mind around that, which is what I really recommend you do, wrap your mind around how people react and act to certain things. And when you start getting a more than just a basic understanding, some type of an intermediate, mid-range, and above, you're really going to see your business start to take off, because understanding what motivates people to do something or to avoid doing something is probably the number one, or I should say the biggest part of selling something.